Hey everybody, so I made this droid a little while ago and I didn't ever talk about it. So I want to talk about it. Let's get into it. All right, so first things first, this comes from Etsy, from Droid Division. Droid Division has a lot of robots and bots that it makes. This is a fantastic file that they came up with. It comes with a very detailed diagram of how it's supposed to go together, what it's supposed to look like. It tells you what screws and what bolts you need to add to it. And it also comes with a pretty good community on Facebook, and you can ask any questions you need to there. And there are lots of people that have made these droids, and they would be willing to help you with your droid building adventure. Because let me tell you, this does take a little bit of time to get done. This was sized and cut to the X1C's build volume, so it's 256 by 256 by 256. If you have an A1, it's the same build volume. But it is all cut up into smaller pieces, like the head, for instance. This is one piece, this is one piece, this is one piece, this is one piece, and then right here, this is also one piece. But they've done something really clever, and they've hid the seam and the crease, or the seam, inside that little gap and that little opening into the file. And so you can't really tell other than on the sides right here. But then if you back up, I've sprayed it black, so you can't even tell. Okay, it just looks like part of the file. So this file is completely articulable if you want it to be that way. I opted to have the legs static, and so the other file would be right here on the knee. You could have a nut and a bolt, and this could move, but you'd have to tighten it down so it didn't bend or anything. And then another part which I would change if I were to go back, you can have a base on this. I printed the feet that did not have the holes to go to the base, and so this is just completely freestanding. I would change that. I would print off the base. So if you're gonna make this, go with the base. So this took me about 2 weeks to print all the way through, and that was like right after another print going. I only had one printer at the time, so that was one printer, 2 weeks. If I had more printers, I could have cut that down probably by at least half. So as I was making this, I kind of planned to be able to like take it apart, move it, and bring it to conventions with me, things like that, because I like it. It's cool. So the arms at the shoulders will come off. They'll slide right off. Okay, so there's 1, 2. Each leg will pop off at the hip. And so you got 1, 2 there, so 4 pieces. And then right here, this midsection, everything up to here comes off. Okay. Everything right up here comes off, and then the head comes off itself. So you got the torso and then the neck right here. You can kind of see that goes with the torso. So the biggest part of this is this section right here. That's all one piece together. The way I sliced it with the 3D print file is I made the legs the densest. So everything is 3 walls. Okay, increased that from 2 just to add a little bit more durability to the shell. The legs are, I think 40% infilled with gyroid. And then as you go up the body, I made it less dense. I think the least I went to was 10%. And so it is bottom heavy. I tried to make it as balanced as possible because it is going to be freestanding. So that's where I went with that. The paint I used, I believe, was a khaki camo, a spray paint. I hit it with the primer. Okay, I did kind of, with some parts, I did spray some silver spray paint underneath, and then I sprayed the khaki camo over it, and then I chipped it away to give it some of that weathering effect. And as I move it around, it does get scratched a little bit, and that just adds more to the weathering. It looks metallic instead of, scratching down all the way to the plastic I used. So it's scratching down to the silver, and that's where it stays. So after I sprayed it, I then went and got an airbrush, and I filled in and I sprayed all the seams with an airbrush. I wasn't going for a super clean look because nothing in Star Wars is clean. And so I was just kind of loosey-goosey with it, and I sprayed where I thought it needed to be. I put some spots a little bit heavier, like right there, and some spots a little lighter. Okay, I'm trying to find a light spot. But I just, darker spots right through here in the creases. And then on the face itself, you can kind of see I sprayed across there. You back away, because if you've ever used an airbrush before, the closer you get, the more focus it's going to be. The farther away you hold it, the more of an area it can cover. So painting it wasn't that bad at all. It was really easy with the rattle can. The hardest part of it was the airbrush, having to mix up paint with that. But Other than that, the painting was very simple. Post-processing of it, I focused on, the face I sanded pretty good, body I sanded pretty good, but little areas like this, I'm not gonna focus on because you wouldn't have noticed that if I didn't point it out to you. I mean, this thing looks great. I have it in my classroom. This is now a fixture of my classroom. This is my class mascot, Roger, and he's fantastic. So when you're making this, just, pick your battles. Where are you gonna spend the most time, okay? I'm gonna go and make the places where people are gonna look, I'm gonna make those look really good. But the places people aren't gonna really see, I don't care about, okay? So when you're making something, just don't waste your time. So that's where I am at the droid build. I am gonna continue going with it. This isn't done yet. I still wanna make a backpack. The backpack will go on right here, and then there's some antennas that will pop up, make it look a little bit cooler. And then I did, I think I mentioned the arms do move and they are articulable and you can have him hold stuff. I do wanna make a blaster for him to hold. I think that'd bring the whole thing together. So if you guys have made this droid and you have any other tips for me, let me know down in the comments. If you wanna make this droid, ask questions. I'll be happy to share my experience with you and give you some tips of my own to kind of save you guys a headache and some time. So if you guys are into Star Wars, droids, things like that, or Marvel, or just random props, like and subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be making plenty of cool things and I don't want you guys to miss. So thanks for watching. I'm Queso Builds.